So I wanted to do this earlier, but I decided to kind of rest up a little bit, take a nap, and all that, and just basically recharge my body. But I wanted to come on here and give my thoughts on this whole AEW women's locker room drama that's going on. I mean, we all know it's been a year since the all-out brawl out, if you will, and pretty much the reasonings behind that happening, not just with the individuals involved, but also with the fact that leadership was at the center of it, mostly with the likes of Tony Khan and such. But here, it's not just leadership that's at the center of it. It's also something that, well, if you've been a long-time wrestling fan, you've heard other wrestlers talk about it being an issue. You've heard of insiders talking about it being an issue. And, you've heard this person, that person, and so on. And the issue here, apparently, is groups of cliques and politics that come with them, or that they utilize. And the reason I bring this up is because Lufisto, a very well-known name in independent wrestling, someone that, in my opinion, could easily get signed to a WWE contract, Impact contract, if they wanted to then, to do it. And she could even be signed to an AEW contract, all because of who she is and what her reputation is. I mean, she's mostly known, throughout her career for being one of the queens of the death matches. That is what she's known for being one of the queens of the death matches, in wrestling. That is what she's known for. Now, with that said, she did have opportunities with AEW, I'm assuming earlier this year or last year or somewhere in between. Basically from whenever AEW started, between then and now. And mostly around the time when Dark and Dark Elevation was still going on. Anyway, Lufisto decides to come out in an interview with Sean Ross Sapp and basically let it be known that what everybody has been, driving home about recently in the AEW women's locker room is true. Now, we have to realize that this all stemmed, basically, not just from the recent botched matchup that Britt Baker and Taya Valkyrie had over a week ago on Dynamite, and everybody coming out, and saying that the women deserve better, the AEW women deserve better, the WWE women deserve better, women's wrestling deserves better. It wasn't just because of that or anything like that. It wasn't just because of that, but it was because of numerous other reports that have happened throughout, the short existence of AEW. From Britt Baker, politicking and bullying people behind the scenes like Thunder Rosa and others, if you will, to basically favoring those that she'd rather work with, have her own little clique and, get some segue for them and all that. But it wasn't, but here's the thing. In the interview, Lufisto brings up a lot of stuff that currently needs to be corrected in the AEW women's locker room. Mostly the cliques, little clique groups, like those that Britt has, not having all this pull and power that they do and favoritism shown towards them and everything. It's not just that, but mainly, again, it's leadership. It's leadership and respect that needs to be shown towards them and stuff like that, everybody feels they're not getting. Now, a lot of the AEW women's locker room, well, I wouldn't say a lot of them, but I would say a good chunk of them, just enough that when Lufisto put this out on her Twitter, because she, like I said, she didn't just do the interview with Sean Ross Sapp talking about this, but she also put it up, in a tweet that she basically trended. She basically built off of. She created a tree off of, if you will. She ended up basically, because I guess it was enough women coming down her throat or something, if you will. Just taking care of something here right now. It wasn't just enough women coming down her throat in response to what she said and all that, but she basically, as a response, took the tweet that I'm assuming was kind of like a more detailed transcript of the interview with Sean Ross Sapp, and her basically explaining everything that she's heard of, from those that she is friends with in AEW or have been, behind the scenes at AEW and stuff like that. She took that entire tweet that she built, one rung after another. She took that entire tweet as well as her Twitter off. Yeah, she took her Twitter page off. She took it down along with the tweet. And all in response to a lot of women, I wouldn't say the entire locker room, but pretty much a decent amount, coming out and basically retracting what she was talking about when it came to the locker room. They were basically rebutting, what she was saying. They were rebutting what she was saying. So in response, she took that all down. Now, it's interesting that she did that because now people would suspect, okay, did she just make all that up because she wasn't given an opportunity to be all elite? We're not really sure. Because she had opportunity, as I mentioned, during the time of Dark and Dark Elevation to show what she could do. I mean, she even felt like, okay, some people are happy to see her, and everything. Even Dustin Rhodes, who is one of the coaches back there, as well as an in-ring competitor, is happy to see her. She's thinking everything's good, but then she noticed that there were some that weren't happy to see her, like Allie, a.k.a. Cherry Bomb, now known as the Bunny in AEW. Like, she wasn't happy to see her, and according to Lufisto, her first reaction was, "What the F are you doing here?" or something like that. So, obviously, someone that you would think would be happy to see Lufisto because Lufisto helped train her, giving her that kind of an attitude. And then later on, after talking with Dustin Rhodes and everything, who also talked to Allie and I guess a few others that didn't, I wouldn't say didn't, but weren't too fond of seeing Lufisto there, Dustin had his change of an attitude and everything towards her as well, according to what she said. Now, I don't know what's really going on, but the overall situation here, even if you don't believe much of what Lufisto said, the overall situation here that everybody can agree on is there is some backstage politicking and cliques going on in the women's locker room. But that's not all, because even those that did communicate with Lufisto that still work for AEW, she didn't list off names, thank goodness. But those that do work for AEW apparently currently, and even in the past, but mostly currently, have been in contact with Lufisto. And one of the things she said in the branching tweet that she made, about a day ago, so at least less than 24 hours, I'll put it that way. One of the things somebody said to her was the women had, brought up to Tony Khan, the situation of them not getting, I should say, enough TV time, or enough opportunity. And apparently Tony Khan's response to them when they brought that up, according to those that were in contact with Lufisto, that she is friends with, that work for AEW, apparently Tony Khan's response when answering that question is, the women don't draw. In other words, your segments and your matches, they might be good, but they don't draw. You're not a draw, which is why I'm not going to book you, as much as you should be booked, or something like that. Like, in a way, the way Lufisto worded what she was told, it's almost like to me, if I was there, which I wasn't, But if I was there, it almost sounds like Tony Khan didn't mean for it to come off the way, many people are making it sound like even the way Lufisto's making it sound like. But it almost sounds like he's saying, look, I want to give you guys opportunity. I want you guys to succeed. I want you guys to have a chance, to shine and everything. I do. But, I can't do that right now. And my computer's apparently screwing up here for a second. Hold on. Sorry about that. My computer was doing another loading. Basically, it likes to load and everything, so that kind of slows things down. But anyway, apparently, like I said, the way it came off, in my opinion, is Tony Khan may have not made it sound as rude as others were making it sound like, when they told Lufisto and the way Lufisto brought it up, in this tweeting branch, if you will, tweeting branch, that she was growing, or tree she was growing, what she was taught with her basically transcribing everything, well, not mostly everything, but most of what she had told, or some of what she told Sean Rossap. But to me, it almost sounds like, if we were there in person, if we were a fly on that wall, it almost sounds like Tony wants to give him opportunity, but he can't do it because, they're not drawing, the way he would hope they would. Like, to me, Tony Khan comes off as the kind of guy that's like, he wants to give everybody, man and woman, no matter how, straight you are or LGBTQ you are or whatever, if you are a wrestler that wants opportunity, he's the kind of person that's going to be willing to want to give you that opportunity no matter what. So to me, with him coming out and telling the women, according to what Lufisto said, hey, you're not drawing, that's why I'm not going to book you. I don't think he really means it in the manner that it was described. I think, honestly, it's his own way of saying, look, we work for Warner Brothers Discovery now, basically, basically saying they're the bosses. And if Warner Brothers Discovery execs, like let's say David Zaslav and Kathleen Finch, feel like you guys are drawing, then they're going to tell us, don't book them. That's how I feel. That's how I feel things, came off. That's how I feel things, happened. When Tony Khan basically said, look, when Tony Khan basically told the women, hey, I can't book you because you're not drawing. You're not a draw. I don't think it's his way of saying, screw you women, you're not worth it. No. I think he honestly wants to book all the women as much as he can in as many moments and matches and segments and all that. It's just because of the fact that the ratings are so low. He's being probably told by the execs at WBD, don't book the women as much. So that's why I think you're only getting like maybe 1 or 2 women's segments, and that's it. When it comes to all 3 main shows. But we'll have to wait and see whatever truth comes out if that is indeed true, from what he said. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes at AEW and the women's division that needs to be corrected. It really does. It really does need to be corrected. And hopefully, as we get closer to All In, hopefully as we get closer to All Out and we go into the new fall season, things will be straightened out, and hopefully Tony Khan will have the money to get a decent team set up to work with that women's division so that they can get that opportunity they so rightfully deserve. But what are your thoughts? Let me know down below.